Guess what, y'all? We get to break a little news today on Full Court Fits. Welcome to Full Court Fits, y'all, the show that takes you around the world of NBA tunnel looks while also tackling the most absolutely pressing, important news in sneaker culture today. I'm Big Waz, a.k.a. Wosny Lambre of The Ringer. Let's go. We got a segment that we like to call here Sneak Peek. According to my sources at Nike, the LeBron South Beach 8s are dropping on June 23rd. Drop a bomb, let them know it's going crazy. One of the most iconic shoes of the last 10 years. It's finally getting its first ever retro release. I can't confirm the quantities. It's not going to be as super limited as some of the previous LeBron Watch releases, but it's not going to be some mega wide release either. Just know that. Why is this shoe important? This shoe pioneered the hype culture and cycle that we're living in today. And the best part about it is that it happened quite organically. Nowadays, when you see something like the Dior Nike Air Jordan 1 collab, it's a whole contrivance. Nike spends months rolling it out, the sneak peeks. They have a bunch of sneaker influencers sort of circle jerking about, oh my God, I can't believe this sneaker. It's so cute and it's going to feel so great on my foot. And it's a whole marketing campaign behind these big releases. That was not the case with the South Beach in 2010. It was LeBron's first drop as a Miami Heat. We all remember what happened that summer with the decision.
This fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach.
It was just going to be the first shoe, another shoe. It got a general release. There wasn't some big hype machine behind it. They just put it out. Slowly but surely, this shoe became the most sought after shoe of 2010 and into 2011. Of course, you see celebs popping up with it. And as the months went on, I remember thinking to myself, all right, this shoe is at $350. It retails for $160. There's no way it's going to stay there. I'll try to buy this thing in a month when it gets to be more manageable. Nope. It just kept going up and up and up and up and up. The shoe is finally coming back out. June 23rd, be on the lookout for it. It's dropping on the Nike Sneakers app. I'm really excited. Anybody who cares about Nike basketball shoes can't understate this enough. LeBron had never had some kind of off-court appeal to his shoes. And then the South Beach drop and shook up the world. Be on the lookout for that.
Oh, this meeting is being recorded. What's up?
Pablo Torre of ESPN. He's the host of The Daily. The name of the show is Full Court Fits, Pablo. It's a show about NBA fashion, NBA culture, sneaker culture. You get the freaking gist. I don't need to explain it to you as a man who is of that. It is my opinion that you are the best dressed person in all of media. Sports media, I should say. Sports media.
Oh, sports media. Wait, hold on. 'Cause it's not the highest of bars, but I will gladly take that hot take as gospel truth. Thank you.
You managed to look good while also seeming as if you did not try at all. And to me, that is the pinnacle of style.
For instance, like right now, I mean, shout out to my Tito Bob. Like my fashion currently at the moment is the fact that I have this shirt from my Tito Bob, Bobby Q. Seesaw, who ran for board member in the Philippines. I don't know if that's a successful campaign I'm repping right now. The fact that I have a weird Filipino dude's face on my shirt is something that I put a lot of thought and heart into, but kind of probably is not something that seems particularly flexy, but to me and to you, I'm glad that you recognize that it is veins in that arm that I'm flexing. Yeah.
You used to have a TV show, what was my favorite TV show over there, High Noon, and not just because you were my friend. Bo shows up every day looking like a Tom Ford ad, and Pablo, by comparison, would show up basically in comparison looking like a schlub, which I personally, watching at home, loved.
I would walk into the Seaport, right? And so the Seaport in New York City, where ESPN does First Take, and they did High Noon, they do Get Up. It's populated by people who have very expensive clothes. Bomani resembles that. Stephen A. Max Kellerman, they're wearing Tom Ford, I think quite literally. You know, these are guys who've been quite literally featured in GQ, photographed. That's not me, though I will say that, like, I feel like I've inspired at times what Stephen A has worn. And that's a weird thing to be proud of. I would wear like overshirts. And I just remember like suede. I would wear a lot of suede. And I remember like walking into the office one day and being like, I think Stephen A is wearing something that I have worn before. I'm not saying that he looked at me and was like, that's the Pinterest board I want to resemble. I'm just saying I'm more ahead of the curve than people necessarily want to admit. Whether that's corduroys that are purple, yellow suede, Valstar jackets. Nina Kimes is called occasionally Bill Walton at a wedding. That's kind of the vibe that I generally embrace.
Pablo, thank you so much for doing this.
My fellow New Yorker, my brother, a guy who I hugged for way too many minutes one time in a story that we shouldn't tell on air.
We can't tell that story.
A later episode.
We can't tell that story. All right, now this section of the show is called Cop or Drop. Cop meaning I'm feeling it. I would actually buy these clothes and wear them myself. Drop meaning can't do it. Today, we have Kyle Kuzma versus Kendrick Nunn. I'm somebody who's generally a fan of Kyle Kuzma's style, chutzpah, if you will. He's always willing to take a chance, take a risk, be out there in a way that most NBA players, most people in general are not. And guess what? It's paid dividends. He's carved out a niche for himself within the fashion and culture space where he's somebody to actually be reckoned with, and the brands actually loved him. But that doesn't mean, he always sticks the landing when he jumps off of a cliff like this. Here we see our guy rocking a patchwork Canadian tuxedo by Dolce & Gabbana. Look, man, I'm as big a fan of denim as anybody is, but he reminds me of Marty Jannetty of the Rockers meets the GameCube logo. You and I can actually go out and buy those Pumas. They're dope. I'm feeling them. I like that he did that. But sorry, Kyle, I love you. We're going to have to drop this one. Up next, we have Kendrick Nunn. Here we see our boy head to toe in Prada. Normally, I don't really go for the monochromatic. Like, I'm not here for your all yellow outfits. Sorry, that's so 90s and not for me. But whenever somebody's rocking all white or all black, they're basically good to go. And then, of course, I love that he gave the outfit that little bit of extra pop with the green patent leather Prada America's Cup. Not gonna lie to you guys, New York City fashion and culture is always gonna get a leg up on this show because I am a New York City native and homer. I lived in New York when the America's Cup trend started in the summer of 2002. It all started out in Brooklyn. I watched it spread throughout the country like wildfire. And, the trend basically ended around 2009, 2010, but it's back with a vengeance, y'all. Did the monochromatic with the all black, all business, and then he gave it a little bit of pop, a little bit of color. We love to see the contrast whenever it can happen. So shouts to Kendrick Nunn. Keep up the good work, young fella. Thank you for watching Full Court Fits, y'all. We will be back next Friday and every Friday after that. So long as they don't cancel us, please subscribe to The Ringer, like it, rate it, give us that thumbs up, share it. We need it, y'all.